I'm so excited I finally got to check out The Last of Us, the HBO series. We have to talk about it. Hi, my name's Stu and welcome to another review video on Flying Wiener. Now, in case you haven't noticed, yes, my voice is still not okay. I'm filming on the same day as the previous video, by the way, so that definitely explains it. Hopefully in the next video, I'll be feeling and particularly sounding a bit better. Anyway, we're talking about The Last of Us, the HBO show. I was really excited to finally watch this. Now, if you're not familiar with it at all, just to give you a brief intro, The Last of Us is based on a computer game. Well, I think it first came out as a PlayStation game, to be very specific, not quite sure. Anyway, came out as a game, a video game, about 10 years ago. Was it 2013? I think so. I think it was 2013, 2011 or 2013, one of the two, I hope. Hope I won't get it wrong. There's actually also a second game. Now, I am a huge fan of the games. The whole internet, if you look on the internet, you will find an endless amount of fans of this game. It has a very special place in many people's hearts because it's got an outstanding story, and the bond between the main characters is just something that is just really cool and unique to experience. It definitely is one of the best showcases of the kind of stories you can tell with a video game, you know, where people are like, oh, you're just shooting things on the screen, etc. Play The Last of Us. It is a post-apocalyptic game. It has got monsters in it. But believe me, when it's done, the thing that sticks with you is the story between the characters, because it just is that good. It is, I would actually say it probably is one of the best games ever written when it comes to story and character. What is this world? Or maybe, well, we'll just suppose we could jump into the plot. Just to let you know, I am a huge fan of the games. I really enjoyed them. This first series that is now available, or has been available for quite some time now, is actually based on the first game. Just, you know, if you're like, oh, well, maybe I should play the game first, etc., and have a look. I mean, I would actually recommend it because it is right. It's cool. You can be like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme and sit on your couch and go, oh, I recognize that from the game, you know, because I was doing it all the time, probably annoying the hell out of my wife. I was keep making comparisons. It's just because I found it really cool. I love that kind of stuff, where they're paying the right amount of homage, you know, without just making it just about that. And you only notice if you've actually played the games. Yeah, the second game, now, I liked it. That's very controversial. The second game is a very controversial game for particular reasons. I'm not going to get into it. Also because they are going to use the story, of course, in further seasons of this show. So I'm not going to get into that, but just if you are interested, I do like the second game. Not sure if I like it as much as the first one, probably not, but I do. It's still an excellent game. I mean, even technically, it's a marvelous, but the story as well, I think it's also, again, very, very interesting. It goes off in a different way, but very interesting. I really like it. Anyway, what is The Last of Us? What is happening here? So the plot of the show is actually rather simple. The whole thing, well, starts with cordyceps, which, if you're not familiar, is a fungal infection, or is a fungus, let's put it that way. A fungus that even exists nowadays, and what it does is you see it in nature. It infects animals like ants and other insects. It takes over their brain functions, and it steers these animals, these insects, to go to places where the fungus can then spread further. So the writers of the game and now the show have taken that idea and, you know, really expanded on it, where cordyceps actually starts infecting us. So I mentioned before, post-apocalyptic, so you can imagine it's like the zombie apocalypse, but instead of having the typical zombies, we've got zombies that look a bit like mushrooms, you know, not cute mushrooms or anything, but they've got fungal stuff growing out of them and all these kind of things. So this is where we are in. We are actually, the start of the show starts, you know, just as the outbreak happens. And then we have a time jump of, I've even forgotten, I think it's 20 years. I think we start in 2003 and then we jump to 2023, something like that, you know, to the current year. And that is where our main story then goes on from. We are focused on a man called Joel. He's played by Pedro Pascal. He has got a partner. She's played by Anna Torv. Her name in the show is Tess. And the two of them are smugglers. So they are working in this world where you've got quarantine zones, you know, safe zones that are very militarized with rationing going on and all sorts of stuff. Humanity trying to survive in this apocalypse, and so they are in this system, but at the same time they smuggle things, particularly drugs, because it's obviously very lucrative business. This is what they're on about, and they, for reasons I will not go into further here because obviously I don't want to spoil it, they accept to smuggle a child. This is a 14-year-old girl. Her name is Ellie. She's played by Bella Ramsey in the show. I won't tell you why they're smuggling her, but they have to get her across the country to a certain place. And they accept it because they're offered quite a lucrative deal for this drug smuggling. And that is basically the story. So we're watching these two people smuggling a girl cross country that is infected with these cordyceps, fungal zombies, let's call them. That is basically what it is about. Now, that might not sound so interesting, or you might think, well, that sounds really like an adventure thing. The game itself is a horror thing, so it's a horror game. The show itself as well, although I'll get into it a bit later, not quite as much. But it's, as I said, about the characters, because Joel, he is quite distanced from Ellie. You know, he doesn't really want to get too much, into knowing her and all these kind of things. He sees it as a job, and they just need to take her cross country. And what happens is also because it takes a long time, and the stuff that they encounter on the way, all the challenges, all the adventure, I'll call it, it has an influence on them, and they build a relationship, and that is mainly what the show is about. And it's just done in such a natural way, and just it's so cool. Most people, I feel, at the end of this will just really love the characterization in the show and all the things that happen. But that is basically the plot, so that is what's going on. And we see various things happen. We do get stories from, other people as well. Not too much, but there are some, at least more than you would actually get in the video game. There's episode 3 in particular has got a main focus on other people. It's also one of the most, well-received episodes of the show. Quite rightly so. It is quite an amazing episode of television. Now, I've already explained the acting, and the characters in particular are really great. I do say, because I have to make these comparisons, I do prefer the video games, because I do feel it is unfair though, because the video game, it just takes longer. Even although this is a TV show with 9 episodes, the game is still longer, so it feels like you just get to spend more time with these characters and they get to develop more. Due to that, I prefer it in the game, but it is done very, very well in the show. So, I'm not going to fault it for that. But as someone who does like the games, I will say that these cordyceps infected are a really cool concept, and for my liking, there just weren't enough in the show, because in the later half, you even forget they exist. I think there are even a few episodes where they don't even appear. And the games have a really good balance where you go around, you're looting places, trying to find supplies to survive and all these kind of things. And you've got conversations going on between the characters. And then you have an action set piece where something happens, etc. And, or you've got a scary bit where you have to go through the sewers and all these kind of things. And they happen in bits and pieces in the show, but not enough. I feel that we kind of forget we're in a post-apocalyptic world. If the surroundings wouldn't remind you, you would forget there are actually a lot of monsters out there too. So that I didn't quite like. But the elements that they do take from the game, they improve on various things. Characters, definitely, especially other characters that appear, I feel, are improved in the TV show. I just love the aesthetics of it also. It just looks amazingly, just the way they've done it. The production values, really make us think we are in a world that has just completely gone to pot, Also, when we do get to see the infected, their designs are wonderful as well. Callbacks to the game, even down to the clothes, it's all there. They do a lot of things in the game. You craft, and when you craft, they kneel down on the ground, they put their rucksack, they put it on the ground and they get things out, and they do it in the show as well. It feels so rewarding as a fan of the game, it just feels like you're watching that, really. So it translates really well to the screen. I'm really happy about that. So if you want a slightly horror thing in a post-apocalyptic world, although like I say, that's not what's important here. It really is a character piece at the heart of it. And you do have, I'll just without spoiling it in particular, moral quandaries are one of the essences of The Last of Us. You know, what do you do in certain situations? Because a post-apocalyptic world does lend itself to that very well, doesn't it? Examining of philosophical questions. What would you do in this situation? What is morally right? And I just love those things, and The Last of Us does them really, really well. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, I would highly recommend that you watch it if you get the chance. And I'm really looking forward to the second series, or season. If they translate the whole second game into one season, I'm sure it'll be very interesting to see, because I can imagine it'll be just as divisive as the game was, unless they change something drastically. But we'll see what they do. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe. It is the best way to support this channel. Leave a comment down below about anything you want to say about the show, games, comparisons, you know, things you feel the show improved or did less good than the video games. Anything you want to say in that regard, put it down in the comments below. Well, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one on Flying. Take care. Bye.